Thank you all so much for joining us as we kick off the third Denver Solar Co-op. My name is Grace Rink. I am Denver's Chief Climate Officer and also the Director of our Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency, which we call CASR. You may hear that a few times tonight. I'm especially excited about this new co-op because I'm planning to join. I just moved to Denver in 2020. We've been in our house for just over a year. So now we have all the energy data that we need to make an informed decision about the size of a system that's right for our house. And like many of you, I'm sure I've had lots of vendors come to my door offering their services, but even I find that pressuring and intimidating. And I look forward to Sun doing the legwork of vetting contractors on my behalf. So back to explaining our office. CASR works to enable a sustainable, resilient, and climate safe future for all of Denver in collaboration with fellow departments, other units of government, and community partners. Denver is committed to enabling a rapid and equitable transition to a 100% renewable electric system in Colorado. And the Denver Solar Co-op is an important step in helping Denver meet these climate and equity goals. The co-op is a joint initiative by the City and County of Denver and the nonprofit Solar United Neighbors to help grow solar adoption in our community. The co-op is member-led, streamlined, and a group buying process to help residents go solar and save money. This year, we're also planning to offer solar equity rebates as part of the co-op program. Members who meet low to moderate income eligibility requirements will qualify for rebates to reduce the cost of their projects. $3,000 for solar and $2,000 for battery systems. A hardship fund will support unforeseen circumstances, such as necessary roof repairs, and the Denver Nonprofit Engagement, Office of Nonprofit Engagement, which is known as D1, will assist residents interested in additional bill savings by connecting them to nonprofits administering low or income qualified energy efficiency programs. So we're going to start tonight's event with a special keynote address, followed by a panel discussion featuring homeowners, nonprofit organizations, and government representatives who will discuss what going solar means to them. The discussion will center on personal experiences of going solar, the benefits of going solar, and the unique opportunities available through the Denver Solar Co-op. Now, our speaker this evening, our keynote speaker, is Councilman Jolon Clark. Born and raised in Denver, Mr. Clark was elected to Denver City Council to represent Lucky District 7 in 2015. During his tenure, the councilman has championed policies that focus on mobility and the environment. He was elected President Pro Tem of Council in 2016 and served as the President of City Council from 2018 to 2020. Mr. Clark serves on the board of, long list coming, Levitt Pavilion Denver, Denver Regional Council of Governments, the Mile High Flood District, Transportation Solutions, Visit Denver, the Energized Denver Task Force, and the Xcel Energy Future Collaboration Group. So among other initiatives, he sponsored legislation to create our office and also to create the Climate Protection Fund, which is a permanent funding source to accelerate Denver's work to combat climate change. He's been a champion for the environment, and I'm pleased to welcome him as our speaker this evening. Councilman Clark, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Grace. As Grace just said, I am Jolon Clark, and I represent District 7 on the City Council. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining us tonight. I am so excited to be here for the launch of the third Denver Solar Co-op. Denver has always been a strong leader when it comes to addressing climate change, and I just wanted to run through a couple of recent highlights of that work. In 2018, Denver released its action plan for reducing greenhouse gas emissions 80% by 2050, including a goal for the city to be powered by 100% renewable electricity by 2030. In 2019, City Council pushed for the creation of this new climate office to centralize staff who are working on climate issues all across the city and to elevate that work in the city. Council also proposed at that time a new funding source to go to voters to fund this new office and this critical work. But after working with the mayor's office, Council held off on going to voters in 2019 to work with the administration to stand up the new office and to launch a task force to develop a plan for Denver to address climate change head on. In 2020, the Climate Action Task Force concluded and put out its recommendations and encouraged Denver to go even further, faster, by calling for a 100% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2040 and encouraging Denver to center equity and racial justice in its energy transition and climate work. This led to City Council referring Measure 2A in November of 2020 to create Denver's Climate Protection Fund, to fund the newly created Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency, and to meet these challenges head on and work to enable a sustainable, resilient, climate-safe future for all of Denver. The measure passed with flying colors, making Denver the first city in the country to pass a dedicated sales tax measure specifically to fund climate work. So we are on the cutting edge and leading in this country on this. The solar co-op plays an important part in reaching the city's climate goals and particularly aligns with two key points of Denver's climate vision. First, to make Denver a leader in clean and local energy that comes from the sun, wind, or other innovative renewable technologies. And second, to inspire community action and ensure environmental justice, equity, and affordability as Denver transitions to a carbon-free energy system. The solar co-op has made significant progress in these areas in a few really significant ways. The solar co-op has helped 62 families and businesses build 341 kilowatts of solar capacity by making rooftop solar more affordable through the 2019 and 2020 co-ops, and has established a solar equity rebate program that will extend accessibility of rooftop solar to our low and moderate income communities. The upfront cost of solar can be a major barrier for many families, and the solar equity rebates will provide $3,000 towards the cost of solar and $2,000 towards the cost of battery storage for income qualified co-op members. A hardship fund will also be available to support unforeseen circumstances such as necessary roof repairs or electrical upgrades that are run into as they are working towards solar. So despite these many benefits, we also recognize that rooftop solar still may not be an option for many people. So we're also providing information for how renters and others can subscribe to community solar gardens or access free energy efficiency upgrades through Denver's Office of Nonprofit Engagement to further save money on their electricity bills. The co-op also complements a suite of other programs and initiatives that CASR is working on, including advancing sustainability through our programs that we just launched this summer, like Bring Your Own Bag, which seeks to reduce the number of disposable carryout bags used, littered, and landfilled while reducing the amount of plastic that we're using, working towards making all new and existing buildings and homes net zero emissions through buildings that are highly efficient, all electric, grid flexible, and powered by 100% renewable electricity. Enabling a rapid transition to 100% community-wide renewable electricity use by 2030 through increasing system renewables, distributed solar, and utility-scale renewable energy subscriptions, and by transforming transportation by prioritizing transit, biking, walking, and paving the way for electric vehicles. We still have a long way to go to meet our climate goals, but these programs and initiatives are making significant progress and are an important part of that transition. As we move forward, we have to act with urgency. The most recent IPCC report emphasized that through its sobering findings, which highlight that climate change is widespread, rapid, and intensifying. We have to take action now and do our part to ensure that we preserve our home, this amazing planet, for future generations. Including equity as a foundational component of this transition not only ensures that no one is left behind, but also ensures that everyone has a voice in this process. So as we launch the 2021 Solar Co-op, we're taking a big step through the solar equity rebates to make sure that we see solar adoption expand to all neighborhoods across Denver. The 2021 Solar Co-op is making solar an accessible opportunity for all of our communities so that we are all able to take action to reduce our climate impacts. So again, thank you all so much for being here tonight and being a part of this important work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Councilman Clark. We really are excited to have you kick off tonight's event and grace your presence as well, because this is just a really exciting time to ramp up our impact and making a difference in the community. Hello, everyone. My name is Bryce Carter. I am the Colorado Program Director with Solar United Neighbors. I'm really excited tonight to talk about our 2021 Denver Solar Co-op. We have a lot of exciting developments as we launch our third initiative with the City and County of Denver to be able to grow and impact. We would not be successful if it wasn't for the myriad of partners that we work with in Denver and across the state and country. And so especially we have funding supporting us from Denver, specifically the Climate Action, Sustainability and Resiliency Office, and working with core partners like the Colorado Renewable Energy Society, Energy Resource Center, Energy Outreach Colorado, Mile High Youth Corps, Grid Alternatives, Groundwork Denver, and many more of the organizations that you see there. So Solar United Neighbors, as I said, we are a nonprofit. We are vendor neutral, and our main focus is we're a community of people building a new energy system with rooftop solar at the cornerstone. Our focus is to help people go solar, join together, and fight for their energy rights. We realize as we look at going solar, we understand that there is need to recognize systems of inequality that we're dealing with. And communities of color, particularly the Black community, bear an unfair share of the cost of energy production, but we see fewer benefits of that. Families of color are disproportionately harmed by higher utility bills and shutoffs. On top of that, housing discrimination is a barrier to home ownership and thus solar ownership. So when Solar United Neighbors started with a group of economically and racially diverse neighbors in Washington, D.C., they focused on solar because it helped people pay their electricity bills. It also helped them stay in their homes at a time when Washington, D.C. was being gentrified quickly and the whole country was in the middle of a financial crisis. So we see rooftop solar lets communities invest locally, creates good local jobs, and brings control of the energy system within our reach. We're working toward that new energy system that everyone can participate in, one that is fair and equitable. And so we did start, thanks to these two young gentlemen here. On the left is Walter and the right is Diego. And they were inspired after watching Inconvenient Truth to take some type of action to reduce their climate footprint. Very soon they realized solar might be one of the best ways to do that. And so Walter reached out to his mom, Anya Schoolman, and said, let's figure this out. And after some persistent lobbying, finally Anya said, okay, great, let's do this, but let's go with a bunch of our neighbors and see how we could do this together and learn about solar together. Very soon they had 50 of their neighbors signed up and did the research and figuring out what is solar, what's an inverter, what's this process, how do you interconnect? And after 2 years, 45 of those households were able to go solar. And that was our very first solar co-op, essentially a solar group buy that we facilitated. Since then, we've grown across the country. We are in 12 states with the Colorado program launched about 3 years ago. And since then, we have helped invest about $130 million worth of solar investments all across the country, helping over 6,000 families and businesses. So we're really excited to be able to grow our impact and make a difference. And as an organization that is focused on our membership, it is free to participate as a member, and especially as a solar co-op and participate in that, you are able to get some of our fun swag with a sticker and magnet. You get a 10% discount on our store, and we also host member-only events and also provide resources. So whether you're in a solar co-op area or if you're not, we do have a solar help desk and provide other support. So enough about us. I'll talk a little bit more about solar technology, Solar 101. We'll also be talking tonight about how solar co-ops work and the solar economics and what does the financing options look for you. So kicking things off with solar technology, we're going to kind of start big picture here, is that when we talk about solar panels, solar photovoltaic or PV is photo being light, voltaic being power, and it converts that solar energy directly into electricity. And right now on the market, we see solar panels at about 20% efficiency. So for the amount of energy the sun hits on the ground, 20% of that could be converted into electricity with a solar panel. And I'll be walking you through this diagram of a house, but basically solar goes on your rooftop, is able to produce electricity that is in a direct current that then needs to be converted into alternating current, which is how our homes are powered. And then that electricity goes into your electric meter and goes wherever the demand is. So if you have your lights on or computer, then electricity is going to be powering those things. Or if there is no demand, it'll overflow through your meter and onto the grid and help power your neighbors' homes. So in terms of terminology of solar, it's important to know what kilowatts are and kilowatt hours. So we measure solar systems in kilowatts, and it's equivalent to thinking about how we look at the horsepower of a car. So imagine if you are going up a hill and you're flooring your engine, you're getting that full capacity, that full potential of the power of your car. Same thing with solar. So let's say in this case, this is a 3 kilowatt solar system. On noon on a sunny day, there might be some efficiency losses, but basically you could expect somewhere near 3,000 watts of production. Then measuring that production over time is kilowatt hours, similar to miles per gallon. You're getting that average. So if you have a sunny day for 2 hours, you can expect about 6 kilowatt hours worth of production. Most homes install anywhere from 2 kilowatts up to 12 kilowatts, and it really depends on your preferences and what you want to offset, as well as the specifics of your roof to be able to go solar. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. The way the solar panel is designed itself is fairly straightforward. There are silicon wafers that through physics can convert those photons from the sun into electrons. And essentially you have those through the solar cells, they collect those electrons and then create a current that they then wire together. And that current is one directional or direct current. And then you can have that come out of the junction box, and you can even start stacking those solar panels together. So you can create more of a current that then can power your home and make more of an impact. Though, of course, that direct current, like I said earlier, needs to be converted to an alternating current. So that's what an inverter can do. A string inverter is basically you have one large inverter that can convert the entire solar system at one location. Otherwise, there's also microinverters, and it's basically a small inverter that could go for every single solar panel. That's something to talk with your installer about based on what availability they have. Both are great technologies, and there's some pros and cons depending on if there's periodic shading, but for the most part, again, both are great options for you. Once your solar system is set up and it's converted to alternating current, it connects to your electric panel. And typically it is a simple connection, but in places like Denver, we are seeing that the electrical code is getting updated. So if you do, you might run into needing to upgrade some of your electrical panel box or maybe some other upgrades. I know some residents had to update the distance of their electric power pole, or that periscope that pops over some homes. So that's something, again, that you'll be able to work with your installer. And obviously those types of updates are going to be important for health and safety reasons, as much as it is exciting to be able to move forward with solar as well. Otherwise, again, the majority of homes is a fairly simple connection, but just to be aware that some of these other considerations may apply. So in terms of installing the solar panels, there are a variety of ways of doing it on a roofing system. You have the racking, which you need to install to be able to put the solar panels securely on the roof. And these are rated for high winds and snow loads and all sorts of things. Here you have an asphalt shingle roof. You can see it's a pretty straightforward connection. It goes into the awnings to secure there. But there's also a variety of other technologies. So looking at the flashing, a weighted ballast system, standoff beams, clamps, and pitch pockets. Again, there's lots of ways to be able to install solar. And again, that's something that your installer will be able to work with you on. And if you have a C-metal roof, you may not even need to have any penetrations on your roof. They can actually clamp that on securely. Or a parapet to parapet roof or a flat roof, they can even use I-beams and other technologies. And if you happen to have the yard space, you can even look at doing ground mounted solar. So being able to wire from your yard into that inverter on your house and connecting it there. Of course, as you're looking at evaluating your solar system, it is important to consider with your roof, what makes a good site for solar. So first, we, as Solar United Neighbors, part of our service is to do initial evaluation. We look to make sure that there's no or extremely limited shading, whether it's a tree or building. We look to make sure that there is enough space on your roof. So we look for a minimum of 200 square feet, that it has unobstructed space, so no pipes and stuff like that, so the solar panels can go up there. And then generally, we look at having southern exposure is the most ideal location for a solar panel, but due west and then due east are also can be ideal. You don't want north facing solar because, especially in the wintertime, you're not going to be able to get that production. So to recap, you have the sunlight that hit the solar panels that then is converted from a direct current into alternating current. That electricity helps power your home, and then any excess power can go back through the meter onto the grid. If for any reason, though, that solar doesn't work for your property, whether it's shading or your roof is complicated, there's also the option of going with community solar. We do have a platform with Solar United Neighbors where you can look up a couple options available to you. And also the City and County of Denver does have a Renewables Denver Community Solar Program. And their goal is to accelerate Denver toward 100% renewable electricity while empowering the local community. What's exciting about this current program is that they are installing 15 megawatts of community solar gardens to help power municipal rooftops all throughout the city. And approximately 30% of that power is going to be used to help low-income residents save on bills. So we're excited to see that program, and especially its community impact. They're looking to support a training program for students and get people involved with various partnerships to grow subscriptions. So we're excited to highlight that as we do community outreach. Now, as you do have solar, the idea of batteries comes up in terms of what happens when the power goes out. And unless you have battery storage, your system will shut down and you will not have power. That's a safety mechanism. So when the linemen come out to do any repair work, those power lines are not going to be charged. So again, you're going to need to have batteries if you want to have power during outages. Some of the considerations of why you might want to have batteries is if you're in a more rural location or you might have frequent utility outages. If you have critical loads that can never be offline, thinking about well pumps, medical equipment, servers, there's a lot of reasons nowadays of why you would never want to lose your power. There's also resiliency for emergency and disaster preparedness. We're seeing that more and more, especially in our mountain towns, as being a critical part of making sure you're prepared. And then lastly, time of use. And there's an asterisk there because there's a lot of considerations both for behavior and the economics of whether there is a how valuable that will be for your circumstances. And the way batteries can operate to support your solar system is that you can do demand charges and offset those, or have time of use and be able to facilitate the cost of electricity as it evolves. Demand charges are typically applied for commercial properties. So once you reach a certain point, there's a premium charge of electricity beyond that point. And so batteries can charge up and then offset that premium amount so that you don't end up having to pay for it from the utility. And then for time of use, which we'll talk more about later in this presentation, there is also the, you can offset the more expensive time periods during the day when electricity is higher, and then you can charge it through battery when electricity prices are lower. Generally in the market, there are two main types of batteries. There are lead acid batteries, which are pretty much similar to what you see in your car, though often with the residential side of it, there needs to be a little bit more safety precautions, venting, and other considerations and maintenance. It is cheaper to go for lead acid, but what we are seeing is that lithium ion batteries are taking off quite rapidly. Prices have been coming down. They tend to be having a higher energy density and longer lifespan. But because of the ongoing climate crisis seen in Texas and California, battery demand is continuing to be very high. So we are seeing prices remain fairly high right now as just people want to be able to have that resilience. So it's something that we're watching, and the economics definitely are rapidly changing, with the overall trend still going to be more affordable. And we'll talk about the specific prices in just a couple of slides. So to give a quick example of what that means to have a battery bank, here's an example of the Johnson's family, and they lose their power from their utility several times a year. Each time the power is out, it's out for the entire day. So for them, with their solar system, which is a 5,600 watt or 5.6 kilowatt system, they could recharge that the battery bank fully for a day. But if they don't have sunlight for a day, they would lose their power. So if you have a snow event, for instance, and your solar panels are covered, then you won't be able to get the electricity until the snow melts off of that. So for them, they decided that they wanted to power some specific essentials. So their refrigerator, a small microwave, some critical lights and their outlets, and a cable modem. But they didn't want to do high energy intensive stuff. So stove, dryer, and electric water here are things that they could live a day without for a day. So when we're looking at the economics of battery cost, there's a lot of considerations. These are just example numbers based on average pricing. So if you have a typical 5.6 kilowatt solar array, right now what we're seeing in the market in Colorado is that a 10 kilowatt hour battery storage costs about $10,000. Though there are a variety of rebates currently available. If you install solar, or if your battery is powered through 100% renewable energy, you can get the federal tax credit, which is currently 26%. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. There's also a rebate program that we're working with as part of the solar co-op. So if you're a Denver resident and if you are income qualified, you can receive $2,000. And in addition, currently Xcel Energy does have a Battery Connect program that they're piloting to look at kind of smart grid technology, and they will pay people that have batteries, specific types of batteries, 1,250 to be able to leverage their battery during the day. So certainly those are some great savings, but again, battery storage is as much as the behavior of leveraging that battery. And we're still figuring out the numbers ourselves as Solar United neighbors to find out the economics and what that means. But so one thing that is important to note as we look at electricity, and especially as it goes through the meter, is that there's a policy called net metering that allows the flow of electricity to and from the customer. So every kilowatt hour that you produced is 1 kilowatt hour consumed. And so when you generate that excess electricity, you're not using that in your home, it flows back through the meter and you get that credit, which can be rolled over for your energy production. So you can cover up to essentially 100% of your energy bill and at the full value of the kilowatt hour value. And then as you go above 100%, currently it's 120% is the absolute maximum. There is recent legislation that's allowing that to bump up to 200%, but the value of that electricity goes down to wholesale electricity. So there's not much of an economic incentive to oversize your system based on your demand, unless you're thinking you're going to gain electric vehicle or additional energy demand for new appliances or whatever it might be. It's worth knowing that if you opt into Xcel Energy's solar rewards program, essentially they buy the credit that you're able to produce of the renewable energy credit of your solar, and they will pay you a little bit to support that. And you are able to roll over your excess energy, that one-to-one credit, indefinitely, month to month. If you don't opt into the solar rewards program, you'll get a cash out credit at the end of the year for any excess production, and that's average wholesale rate annually. So certainly do the math. You can determine yourself and look through the options available to see what works best for you. So again, it's the amount of electricity used minus the amount of electricity produced, and that's how you get your monthly electric bill. And as you can see here, as a quick example, you see on the left, this is just a generalized electricity bill, not specific to Xcel or other utilities, but you can kind of see that you have the connection charge, the customer charge, and then the additional cost. And then once you go solar, you still have that the connection charge, but you can see the prices go down because you're able to cover that production. Also with the solar co-op, as we offer opportunities for the installer that will be selected to not only go solar, but also looking at battery storage and electric vehicle charging. And so I'll just spend a quick minute to talk about EVs. It is a great combination because you're able to have that local clean energy produced at your rooftop, and you can help charge your electric vehicle as part of that. Electric vehicle charger requires a 240 volt outlet. It can be installed by a professional electrician, and basically it provides between 10 to 30 miles of charge per hour, depending on the type of vehicle it is. So especially for most people, when they come home, they plug it in, and overnight tends to fully charge the battery. And then depending on circumstances, even a lot more commercial properties and businesses are starting to have on-site chargers as well. So it's getting to be definitely covering range anxiety, and it's pretty easy to be able to have that option available at your home. The typical warranty for that type of connection is about 3 years. And in terms of depending on how many miles you drive, this is just the capacity to consider in terms of, the more you go, the larger the solar system you need to offset and fully charge your vehicle. And these costs can vary, but the charging unit can be anywhere from $500 to $700+. Then you have the installation of the electrician's hours. And so the total cost of installing an EV charger at your home is between $1,000 and $2,700. So I'm going to answer some frequently asked questions, and then I'm going to pause to see if you guys have any questions. So first, in terms of warranties, when we talk about a solar system, there are 3 main warranties. One is the power production warranty. And what that basically states is that a solar system will be able to maintain its production value up to typically 80% over 25 years. So if we have a 10 kilowatt solar system, it's guaranteed that after 25 years, it will still be producing at least 8 kilowatts worth of capacity. And there is through physics, just you see degradation just a little bit over the years, but there are some companies that offer even up to 90+% warranties. So power reduction warranty just demonstrates that technology is fairly matured. There's also the installer's warranty. So if they do roof penetrations and the other work they do on your property, those would be covered. And those are typically anywhere from 5 to 10 plus years. And there is also a product warranty. So the actual manufacturer of those solar panels and making sure that there's no issues with them, which if there is any issue, you typically would find out fairly soon once you install it. In terms of homeowners insurance, typically you won't see major updates or increases in cost, but always call your insurance company before you go solar just to make sure that you're on the same page. I personally had a detached garage, and so I had to have basically for $1 more per month, a little bit of an increased value just to make sure I covered the insurance of the garage. But again, some companies actually offer a discount, so talk to your insurance company and work with them. Maintenance is fairly minimal when it comes to solar panels. In this neck of the woods, as we see smoke and fire season, you might want to consider just washing down your panels with a hose if it does seem to be accumulating a lot of soot. But generally, for the typical weather patterns, it's not that big of an issue. At some point, especially if you have a one inverter, they tend to have a lifespan of between 12 to 15 years. So you may need to replace that, but there's also extended warranties that you could purchase to support that as well. Systems do last 25 years, and I've had the privilege of working across Colorado. I've met folks that have had solar panels from the 70s and 80s, and they're still using them today. These are 50-watt panels compared to where we're seeing 400-watt panels on the market nowadays. So again, it's a fairly reliable technology, and even though the power production warranty goes for 25 years, they can potentially go for decades beyond that. In terms of homeowners associations, by Colorado law, they cannot prevent you from going solar, but they do have a say where it might go as long as it's not cost prohibitive. So similar to everything else, reach out to them, let them know what you're thinking. And from our experience, for the most part, there hasn't been any issue with HOAs being able to work with folks interested in going solar, but we're here as a resource as well. Historic districts are a little trickier. They might have more restrictions depending on their aesthetics. And so same thing, reach out to them. If you have questions or concerns, reach out to us and we can certainly have a dialogue and see what we can help with. And then lastly, the question we always get is, what about hail damage? We did have one of the most, in fact, the most expensive disaster in Colorado history was actually the hailstorm that we had back in, I believe it was 2017. And ground zero was at Golden, where the National Renewable Energy Lab was. And so out of the hailstones, which were a very significant size, 3,000 solar panels, only one was damaged as part of NRL's solar panels are out there. So solar panels are designed to be fairly resilient, though there is one at least incidence of where we know after repeated hail damage, there was some repairs that needed to happen down in the Air Force Base in Colorado Springs. So with that considered, that's why insurance is there, and they would be covered as part of that and wouldn't be a big issue, similar to roof damage and being able to repair that. But overall, again, it's not that big of an issue because the hail is basically the panels can be able to withstand it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how the solar co-ops work and what we do as Solar United Neighbors as a service. So solar co-ops work where, again, it's essentially a group buy process. It's helping people get the best value on their installation and support throughout the process. We often do see savings of 10, 20%, possibly more because of economies of scale. We also form a community of people that are excited and to connect with each other and be enthusiasts to talk about solar and be able to connect things. And also you can become part of the growing solar movement. We do a lot of advocacy and making sure that net metering and solar rights are defended. And so this is just a quick summary of our Going Solar process. So we're in our first month of launching where we do a lot of education, doing solar information sessions like this. We held a panel just the other night highlighting some of our rebate programs and other energy equity programs available to residents of Denver. And then right now is the time to sign up. And it's really exciting because people are able to learn what going solar means for them. It's free and there's no obligation to go solar. You're just able to get that information. And then we're a grassroots movement. Our members can help reach out to both the local newspapers and neighbors and get the word out. And that really does make a difference in just making sure folks are aware that this opportunity occurs. Now we are in the process of just releasing a request for proposal for installers to bid into the solar co-op. So that RFP is going to be due in a couple of weeks. And we're going to be Solar United Neighbors looking at their licensing, making sure that everything is up to date, and reviewing all those bids so there's an apples to apples comparison for a selection committee of our members to come together, make an informed decision of which installer should serve the group at large. And so we're really excited about that. We already have over 50 members that have signed up to be part of the co-op. And I imagine we'll probably see a couple dozen of them engage with the selection process. So once we get going, then that installer is going to get to the races and be able to move forward with scheduling site visits, providing the bid information for each individual home or business. And then they're able to decide if they want to move forward with their contract or not. If they do move forward, then we can get them, the installer would install the solar system. And then toward the end, we'll have a celebration and really celebrate the fact that we're able to help people go solar within the community. That selection committee does look at a variety of criteria, including the price, equipment quality, warranties, experience, whether or not they're a local company, looking at American-made products. There's a lot of factors that can go into it. We are seeing a lot of considerations also when it comes to equity principles and what does that mean. And so speaking about equity, I am excited to share as we look at the co-op, we are now in our partnership with the City and County of Denver, launching a Denver Solar Equity Rebate pilot program. And so for income households with income less than 80% of area mean income, they can receive $3,000 rebate on the cost of going solar and a $2,000 rebate for battery storage. We also have additional hardship funds available. So if if a family needs a roof repair, for instance, or needs to upgrade their electric meter, that funding could potentially support them if they need it to be able to access it if they're just short of what they need. So we're really excited to be able to launch this pilot to make an impact for families in need and help make it a little easier to save money. So of course, though, we don't want to work alone with this amazing program. We also are connected with a variety of organizations with the Denver Office of Nonprofit Engagement for income qualified residents. And so the energy efficiency support services that they do offer between all of them include community education, bill payment assistance, free energy efficiency upgrades like insulation, HVAC, hot water heaters, high efficiency toilets, lighting, and other weatherization upgrades. And so our qualified residents are going to be able to have access to those resources, and the City and County of Denver is going to support them walking through that process and seeing how they can be able to connect with all of them to make a biggest impact for their homes. Alrighty, so let's go into the solar economics. So solar has become a really great investment. It's very similar as you look at like a bond or a CD. And we've seen the cost drop dramatically in the last several decades, and especially last decade, the prices have come down 90%. It's no longer a specialty or a boutique project. It has an excellent return on investment. It's insured. There are warranties. And also right now, there is a 26% federal tax credit that you can get if you do, if you're a taxed entity. So that is going to carry forward through next year, 2022, and it's going to step down in 2023 to 22%. And then it's going to phase out by 2024. We don't know if any of this is going to be extended. And so right now is honestly the best time as we see these prices come down. And then talking about the tax credit, this is just a visual of what it looks like as it's going down over the next couple of years. So looking at those costs, certainly the tax credit can continue to accelerate the accessibility of solar, making sure there is those savings. And in terms of pricing coming down, you can see just from 2010 to today, this graph shows the system components, the labor costs and soft costs for an installer. And I think what this says a lot is that the system component costs have levelized. They've gone down to a point where the prices are fairly low, but the soft costs continue to remain high. And the soft costs are the need where the installer reaches out into the community, has a kitchen table conversation to talk about solar, and through that education outreach, be able to help get a customer. And that can cost an installer thousands of dollars per customer to be able to secure that contract. Solar United Neighbors and the solar co-op process can help reduce that installer soft cost to help save you as a customer money. And for full transparency, we do ask for a $600 development fee from the installer for every signed contract. But the goal is that the installer is able to save money in their overhead, the consumer can save money, and then we get funding to support our mission to do what we do. So this is a breakdown of the pricing and what we could expect for a cash purchase and payoff for a solar system. There is some explanation that needs to happen, and we'll dig into this in more detail with time of use rates. So Xcel Energy is moving all of the residential customers by default as they get upgraded to new smart meters to time of use pricing. And so that means that the cost of electricity is going to change throughout the day. And we'll show you what that looks like hour by hour and by season. And so time of use, your electricity bill is going to very much depend on your behavior as you use your electricity. So to get this estimate, we went ahead and looked at our average solar system size that we've had with our previous solar co-ops, so 5.5 kilowatts. And we did several assumptions of production, and you can see in the small print there of what that looks like within the time of use rate schedule. So we modeled this payoff based on, again, this kind of average energy use within Denver, as well as the average solar system size. So your specific circumstances will look different, but the trends are overall about the same. We do see also there is $3 per watt pricing across Colorado as an average. More rural areas tend to be higher. Urban areas can be a little bit lower, but we do see through the solar co-op process, economies of scale, we do see savings below this amount typically. So again, with all of that caveat, we have the overall cost of the solar system for 5.5 kilowatts. You have that 26% federal tax credit that comes in. And then you can see what the savings look like per year and over a cumulative savings over multiple years. In addition, we didn't include it, but if you do apply for the solar equity rebate pilot program, you would see an additional $3,000 of savings to bring that cost down even further. Now, as we talk about time of use pricing, again, this is a tariff that is going to be applied to all residential customers as they receive upgraded AMI meters. That price per kilowatt hour is going to depend both on the time of day. You have peak hours, shoulder periods, and off-peak hours. You also have the season, so winter and summer months. As this applies to net metering, as we discussed, this means that when you're producing solar or putting energy on the grid, you're able to get the one-to-one credit based on the pricing tier of that hour. And it can roll into any lesser hours. And we'll talk about the pricing of what that looks like. Battery storage can also play a role here where you can essentially, even without solar, buy low and sell high. But as I said, the economics of that is still a big question. It's something that we're looking at, especially as time of use begins to roll out. And so we're going to keep everyone posted of what this means. So in terms of the pricing, this is what, as of this month, October 2021, Xcel Energy's energy rates will be. So the on-peak during summer is going to be the most expensive electricity of the year. So it's going to be basically 17.2 cents worth of electricity per kilowatt hour. And then that's on peak. So that's going to be 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Everyone's getting home, turning on their stoves to cook dinner. Might be charging an electric vehicle. AC is running because it's the hottest part of the day. And so Xcel wants to be able to account for that because it does cost more money to operate the grid at that peak time and incentivize the market to use less electricity. So obviously with that, solar is producing electricity because the sun's out. So there is a value there that you would be able to see some savings with net metering. And that is 2.7 times higher than the off-peak time for summer rates, which is 6.4 cents. And you can see the winter months are slightly different with a low to high difference being 1.7 times. So again, as you upgrade with the new meter from Xcel, and they're going to be rolling this out over the next couple of years, currently they will be implementing the new tariff every April and October as a group basis. So once you get a new meter, just anticipate that the following April and or October, that's when you'll be getting the automatic transfer to the new rate structure. Looking at this another way, you can see this is what it looks like throughout the day. So in the blue is off-peak hours at 6.39 cents. You can see the shoulder period where the price increases to nearly 12 cents. And then you have that 17.25 at peak. And so talking about behaviors, you want to start considering, okay, I want to charge my electric vehicle likely at the off-peak hours. Same thing with like using your dishwasher or washing machine, using your HVAC systems, or charging a battery if you happen to have a battery. And then on your on-peak hours, that's again the hottest time of the day, your solar system's operating, so you're able to offset that cost. Depending on your circumstances, maybe opening a window to cool down the house might be ideal. And you might want to discharge your battery at that time, because you essentially can provide a grid service. And just by selling the 17.25 cents of electricity, whether it's from your solar system or your battery, you essentially could offset that. That's essentially worth that 2.7 times off-peak kilowatt hour. So we're excited to see what happens with the market as this time of use rate structure gets implemented. And we certainly will be highlighting case studies of different families and kind of seeing what that looks like. So as we look at that, and what does that mean for the cost of your payoff of your solar system, it can vary. This is just an example showing in the dark blue a cash loan. Once you get that tax credit, the prices go down, and being able to have that 8 to 12 year payback is typically what we see. But of course, if you get electric vehicle and other use your solar system and battery storage in different ways, that could accelerate or slow down your payoff of your system. And then you can see otherwise we have a 10-year loan and a 15-year loan, depending on what the terms are available. Now for the cost of electricity, or for the solar system, there are a lot of financing options that are available. And these loans can be either through the installer or on your own. There is a home equity line of credit that you can get. There are standard loans, solar loans, bridge loans, a ton of different options available to you. You can refinance and include your solar system as you refinance your house. We are members of a credit union, and it's just an option available to people, the Clean Energy Credit Union and the Community First Credit Union. So as Solar United Neighbors members, you automatically qualify to participate. There's also third-party ownership. So you could lease your solar system or have it be leased. So that way there's a third party that's owning it. Do check the fine print to make sure that you're aware of what that means for you. We know some customers may have to move and realize they have to buy out the solar system before they sell the property. And so there's things like that just to be aware of, as well as the economics, but we're happy to be a resource in exploring that. There's also a variety of grants. So for rural parts of Colorado and elsewhere, there is the Rural Energy for America program, REAP, and then there's a variety of other rebates. We do have information specific to Colorado. So if you go to solarunitedneighbors.org/financing, you can look up that information there. So in terms of what's next, you can join the Denver Solar Co-op and help spread the word. It's again free to join, and there's no obligation to participate. And we also, as I said, are pursuing a lot of advocacy. And one of our big campaigns is our 30 million new solar homes. And our goal is to make sure that 30 million solar homes can be built all across the country. So being able to expand solar equity and make sure that these investments are going to help people save money, create jobs, protect our climate, and address energy injustice. And by expanding access to solar ownership, it's going to be able to provide many benefits to low to middle income Americans, rural communities, and communities of color. So we're really proud of a suite of policies that we are advocating for at the federal level. And you can participate in this program by signing our petition. You can schedule a meeting with your member of Congress, and otherwise be involved through writing letters. So you're just welcome to take action. I'm Bryce Carter. I'm the Colorado Program Director of Solar United Neighbors. Thank you so much for your time to watch this presentation for the 2021 Denver Solar Co-op. We're excited to have you as a member and are eager to answer any questions that you have. Feel free to reach out to myself and our team at coteam@solarunitedneighbors.org. Thank you.